Bhavato Riya Jaya
Jara Prasade Bhai Bhavato
Jahara Prasade
Krishna Prapti Hoya
Krishna Prapti Hoya
Krishna Prapti Hoya
Krishna Prapti
Prabhupada Jivana
Prabhupada Lokera Jivana
Mahaprabhu Paradaya Devamore Parachaya
Mahaprabhu Paradaya Devamore Parachaya
Mahaprabhu Paradaya Devamore Parachaya
Mahaprabhu Paradaya Devamore Parachaya
Devyasya Kushuti Bhavana Prabhupada Patita Pavana
Prabhupada Patita Pavana
Hallelujah Shamana
Gurudeva Sharana
Namo Shivaya Krishna Krishna Gokale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namo
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pasyakaritakarine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pasyakaritakarine
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada,
Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada.
Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Ramacharya Srila Harinam Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopina Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Mathura Dham ki jai. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Gangamai ki jai. Yamunamai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the unassembled Lord. All glories to the unassembled Lord. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Lord Premanandi Hari Bol.
Pashchatyadesha Narine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama.
Go a little quick this morning. Next time. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanasya Yamuna Tira Vanasya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanasha Yamuna Tira Vanasha Jaya Radha Kunjavihari Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande vote. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, today's verses, chapter, second canon, chapter 7, text 40. Vishnu
Vishnu
Nu
Nu
Virya
Virya
Gananam
Gana
Katamokno
Katamon
Arhatiha
Arhatya
Ya
Ya
Partivani
Parakivani
Api
Aki
Kabir
Kavi
Vimane
Vimane
Rajamsi
Rajamsi
Chaskamba
Chaskamba
Ya
Ya
Swa
Swa
Rahasas Kalata
Rasasalata
Tri Prishtam
Viprishtam
Yasmat
Yasmat
Trisamya
Trisamya
Sadanat
Sadana
Guru
Guru
Kampayanam
Kayam
Vishnurnuvirya Gananam Katanor Tiha
Vishnu Nuvirya Gananam Katamor Hatiha
Yat Partivanya Pikavir Vivane Rajamsi
Ya Partivanya Kabir Vimane Rajamsi
Chaskamba Yat Sarahasas Kalatas Tripushtrishnam
Jaskambaya Swarahasas Kalatati Krishna
Yasmat Chisamya Sadanad Guru Kampayanam
Yasmat Trisamya Sadana Urukam Payanam
Vishnurnuvirya Gananam Katamortihi Artiha
Vishnu Nuvirya Gananam
Katanor Hatiya Yat Partivanya Pikavir Vivame Rajamsi
Yat Partivanya Akayavir Vimane Rajamsi
Chaskamba Yat Sarahasas Kalata Tripishtam
Jaskambaya Swarahasas Kalatati Krishna
Yasmat Trisamya Sadanat Guru Kampayanam
Yasmat Trisamya Sadana Urukam Payanam
Vishnu Nuvirya Gananam Katamor Hatiha
Vishnu Nuvirya Gananam Katamor Hatiha
Yah Parthivanya Pikavir Vimame Rajamshi.
Ya Parthivanya Pikavir Vimame Rajamsi.
Chashkam Bhayak Sarahasakhalata Triprishtam.
Chaskam Vayasvarahasaskalata Triprishtam.
Yasmat Trisamya Sadana Kurukam Payanam.
Yasmat Trisamya Sadana Kurukam Payanam.
Vishnornu Viryagananam Katamorhatiha. Vishnornu Viryagananam Katamorhatiha. Ya Parthivanya Pikavir Vimame Rajamsi. Ya Parthivanya Pikavir Vimame Rajamsi. Chaskam Vayasvarahasaskalata Triprishtam.
Chashkam Vayasvarahasakhalata Triprishtam.
Yasmat Trisamya Sadana Kurukam Payanam.
Yasmat Trisamya Sadana Kurukam Payanam. Vishnornu Viryagananam Katamorhatiha.
Vishnornu Viryagananam Katamorhatiha.
Ya Parthivanya Pikavir Vimame Rajamsi.
Ya Parthivanya Pikavir Vimame Rajamsi.
Chaskam Vayasvarahasakhalata Triprishtam.
Chaskam Vayasvarahasaskalata Triprishtam.
Yasmati Samya Sadanat Kurukam Payanam.
Yasmat Trisamya Sadana Kurukam Payanam.
Okay, Vishnu
Vishnu,
of Lord Vishnu.
Lord Vishnu.
Nu,
No,
but
but
Virya,
Virya,
prowess.
prowess.
Gananam,
Gananam,
in a matter of counting.
in the matter of counting.
Katama,
Katama,
who else?
who else?
Arhati
Arhati,
is able to do it.
is able to do it.
Iha,
Iha,
in this world.
in this world.
Ya,
Ya,
one who.
one
Parthivani,
Parthivani,
the atoms. Api,
Api,
also.
also.
Kavi,
Kavi,
great scientist.
great scientist.
Vimame,
Vimame,
might have counted.
might have counted.
Vajamsi,
Rajamsi,
particles.
particles.
Chaskamba,
Chaskamba,
could catch.
could catch.
Ya,
Ya,
one who.
one who.
Sarasasa,
Svarahasa,
by his own leg.
by his own leg.
Askalata,
Askalata,
without being hampered.
without being hampered.
Triprishtam,
Triprishtam,
topmost planetary space.
the most planetary space.
Yasmat,
Yasma,
by which.
by which.
Trisamya,
Trisamya,
the natural space, natural state
neutral space
of the three modes.
of the three modes.
Sadhanat,
Sadhana,
up to that place.
up to that place.
Urukampayanam,
Guru Kampayanam,
moving very greatly.
moving very greatly.
Translation. Who can describe completely the prowess of Vishnu? Even the scientist who might have counted the particles of the atoms of the universe cannot do it, because it is Vishnu only who, in his form of Trivikram, moved his leg effortlessly beyond the topmost planet, Satyaloka, up to the neutral state of the three modes of material nature, and all were moved. Report by Srila Prabhupada. The highest scientific advancement of the material scientist is atomic energy. But the material scientist is not able to have an estimation of the particles of atoms contained in the whole universe. But even if he were able to count such atomic particles, or were able to roll up the sky like one's bedding, even then one would be unable to estimate the extent of the prowess and energy of the Supreme Lord. He is known as Trivikram because he once, in his incarnation of Vamana, he expanded his leg beyond the highest planetary system, Satyaloka, and reached the neutral state of its modes of nature, called the covering of the material world. There are 7 layers of material coverings over the material sky, and the Lord could penetrate even those coverings. With his toe, he made a hole through which the water of the causal ocean filters into the material sky, and the current is known as the sacred Ganges, which purifies the planets of the 3 worlds. In other words, no one is equal to the transcendental powerful Vishnu. He is omnipotent, and no one is equal to or greater than him. Shalakaya Chakshurudrina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam
Nam Shri Guru Shri Adakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shya Shri Rupam
Sajajatam
Sahavadam Tam Sajivam
Sadvaitam
Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha
Krishna Padam Sahagadavita Shri Vishakhanita Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatadis Vancha Kalpa Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo
Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha.
Okay, so it's sometimes people say, I know all about Krishna, I know all about something. And Lord Brahma says they're fools. But today is the Bhishmastami, so that's the disappearance of Bhishma. A very important day, actually, that we don't normally, I guess, think about that much. Because that's when he spoke this Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata, which is like such a great expose on Dharma. Because Yudhishthira is asking him questions, and he asks him about, because he's the king, so he has to know. So he asked him, what is the Dharma of a Brahman? How do we know, what is a Brahman supposed to be doing? What is a Vaishya? What is a Kshatriya? What are the Sudras? And then all the different politic questions, how to make friends, how to pacify enemies, how to give gifts. So many things, very extensive questioning. Even ask about cow protection. That one is interesting because, at least to my note, when I read it, it's the longest, by far the longest section. Bhishma was talking about cow protection. He said after that, Yudhishthira dedicated his life to cow protection, preaching to his brothers about cow protection, himself living in the cow barn. So Yudhishthira, Bhishma, and we talked yesterday, that was 6 weeks or more after the battle. They had moved the battle away from where he was, carrying on for another 6 days or 7 days or whatever. And Yudhishthira was feeling remorseful that all this violence, all this killing, and he's all the widows and all the sonless mothers, and he was taking it all to be his fault because he had some, his ambition to be king or something, which wasn't the fact at all. He was willing to leave it all, but Krishna was Krishna. So as they went to Bhishma, already he was many sages and demigods,
from all over the universe. Vyas, Domya, the Pandava priest was with them. Others were already there. Lord Krishna came with Arjuna in the same chariot. Yudhishthira looked like Kubera. Very happy. So Bhishma, seeing them, so when they saw Bhishma, they bowed down, all of them, gave obeisances, because he's their grandfather. Said all the great souls in the universe, rishis among the demigods, brahmins and kings, everybody was assembled there just to see this auspicious departure. Parvat Muni, Narada, Domya, Vyas, Brihadvasva, Bharadvaja, Parashuram, and disciples. Parashuram was the martial guru of Bhishma. Vishishta, Indra-Pramada, Shrita, Gritsamada, Asita, Kakshivan, Gotama, Atri, Koshika, and Sudarshan. And the purport is a long explanation of who all these personalities are. For our edification, because we didn't know them all. Very long purport. I thought I'd just go over some of the things that Bhishma said. The Bhagavatam is a quick summary of the essence of what he said, which is, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He said, Sukhidev Goswami, Kashyapa Muni, Angirasa, others were all there with their disciples. So it was a very auspicious gathering. Because he was so wise, such a great personality. He was the best of the 8 Vasus. He welcomed everybody. He knew perfectly religious principles, because he was also a disciple of Brihaspati. On that side, his mother made sure that he got the best teachers, Brihaspati and Parashuram, to be prepared to be a king, but then he never took the job. So Bhishma, Krishna was there, so Bhishma worshipped Krishna. The Pandavas were, overwhelmed with love for Bhishma. He was their grandfather. He congratulated them, and he loved them very much. That's why he was never. There's another, these political and emotional and crazy things that, like Karna, who always supposedly was so loyal to Duryodhana and loved Duryodhana so much and would do anything for him. But when they made Bhishma the main general, Karna wouldn't fight. For that whole time he sat out, I hate that guy. So he didn't really care that much about Duryodhana. And said something. Krishna told him, you got so much, but you didn't reciprocate, you didn't spread the mercy that you got. So Bhishma says, what terrible sufferings and terrible injustice you good souls have had to suffer for being the sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under these conditions, but you were protected by the Brahmins, God, and religion. So, he knew all the different difficulties that the Pandavas had been through, and then he explains it, which is a nice message for us. In my opinion, this is due to the inevitable time under whose control everyone and every planet is carried, just as the clouds are carried by the wind. And of course, the Pandavas' trouble was Krishna's personal arrangement for them to demonstrate their glories. Oh, how wonderful is the influence of inedible time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhishthira? the son of the demigod controlling religion. Bhima, the great fighter with a club, and the great bowman Arjuna with his mighty weapon, Gandiva. And above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. No one can know the plan of the Lord, Krishna. Even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. Nowadays, most philosophers, they don't even think of the Lord, but they keep claiming they're going to find out where everything comes from by telescopes or by... When I was, they used to say atom smashers, and now they call them particle accelerators. Atom smashers, more impressive, you know. But they don't even, they've never seen an atom, they're just speculating from what different things they do see. But no one can know the plan of the Lord. People ask us, why did Krishna do this, or why is this happening? And that's the answer. No one can know it. Krishna is, he knows. He's got his plan. He does things the way he wants to. Not always that we would make the same plan. So he says, I maintain that all this is within the plan of the Lord. Accepting an inconceivable plan of the Lord, you must follow it. And you are now appointed administrative head, and my Lord, you should now take care of these subjects who are now rendered helpless. So the reason he's saying this is because Yudhishthira was still refusing to take up the job as a king, feeling that the whole war and all the distress and all the people killed and everything was his fault. And out of his great humility, he was saying, Bhima can be the king, you know, go to the forest. But Krishna wanted him to be the king, but he couldn't, still wouldn't accept it. Vyasadeva tried to convince him, still he was saying no. But he went to Bhima's telling him, and then he became convinced by that, by his grandfather. The devotee does not have to learn anything new from the Lord, because the Lord teaches a sincere devotee from within. Whenever, therefore, their show is made to teach a devotee, as in the case of the Bhagavad Gita, is for teaching less intelligent men. Pandits were advised by Bhishma to accept the responsibility of administration without hesitation, because the people needed it. After the battle of Kurukshetra, there was no king. Duryodhana materially was a good king. He took care of everything. Everybody was living quite opulently. He did the yajnas, and he gave the gifts, and he did everything. But he was against Krishna. Pandavas. Krishna wanted him out. This Krishna is no other than the inconceivable original personality of Godhead. He is the first Narayan, the supreme enjoyer, but he is moving amongst the descendants of King Vrishni, just like one of us. And he's bewildering us with his self-created energy. So he's saying, like Yudhishthira, you're just thinking this is your cousin, and you're, that's your chariot driver, and your messenger, and your friend, and all these things. But he recited the Vishnu Sahasranam to describe, get everybody understanding right off, who is Krishna. He was just sitting there like one of the family members. So Lord Shiva, Narada, Kapila, they all confidentially know the glories of Krishna through direct contact. So that personality, whom out of ignorance only you thought to be your maternal cousin, your dear friend, your well-wisher, counselor, messenger, benefactor, is that very personality of Godhead, Krishna. So we get a quick summary here of the Vishnu Sahasranam, which is all the different names of Vishnu, describing different qualities of different pastimes, different activities. One of which is predicting what you've done. Hey, Manga, predicting the golden body. He's present in everyone's heart. He's equally kind to everyone. He has no false ego of differentiation. Whatever he does is free from material greed. He is equally balanced. So even though he's equal to everyone, he's come before me at the end of my life because I've served him. Bhishma was a great devotee of Krishna. So he starts glorifying Krishna and how devotees get liberated from bondage and everything else. Bhishma, he wanted to see in the battle, he said, Krishna had promised he wouldn't fight, but he said, one day I will fight so ferociously that Arjuna will be in such danger that Krishna will have to fight, break his promise. So Arjuna didn't want to kill Bhishma, he was just defending, and he wasn't attacking with his full strength. In the Mahabharata, so Krishna asked Arjuna, are you sick or what? What's wrong with you? You're not fighting very strongly. And Bhishma broke the chariot and really smashed things. So Krishna finally just jumped down and he grabbed the wheel of the chariot and started, as a weapon, he started charging towards Bhishma. So Bhishma was very happy to see that form of Krishna. Then Arjuna, to stop Krishna from breaking his promise, he ran after Krishna, stopped him, and then he fought. And Krishna had to make all those tricks so that, putting that Shikandini in front so that Bhishma wouldn't shoot him, and then Arjuna could fire. Bhishma had very good armor, but Arjuna used like needle point arrows that could pierce through the weak spots of his armor. Only Arjuna could have done that. Filled it full of arrows. So he was, I remember one talk, someone asked Prabhupada, he was talking about Bhishma like that. He said, is that an inferior rasa? And Prabhupada said, no. It's different. And it says here, some of the things Bhishma said, even mentions Vrindavan and the gopis. He knew about all these things, but his taste was fighting Krishna. So then Yudhisthira, hearing all that, then he started to ask about all the different questions about being a king. And because he knew everything already, he could ask, like very, very detailed questions about everything. And in order to hear Bhishma's talk, because people, they like to hear from great learned people, even if it's something it always could be expanded. And for the sake of everyone else, Bhishma is speaking all this and it's all recorded. He defined the caste and orders of life in terms of an individual's qualification. And then he described counter-action and detachment and interaction by attachment. There's some pretty long purport, so we can see these are, much more to be understood. He covered all the different castes and, what their work was and how they should work. I remember reading it. It even tells like what kind of things you shouldn't eat, and what kind of rice is good and what kind of rice isn't good, and you shouldn't eat this, and shouldn't take yogurt at night, and many things. Every little detail about life. I remember it especially said you should not eat fowl birds and fowl. I think that's why it's called fowl, because chicken is like the most contaminated meat, They just eat the garbage. And fowl, it's very foul. It's one of the favorite now in India. It's become favorite food of the new meat eaters in India. They're enjoying chicken. So he explained charity and how the king, you should act, and the duties of women, the duties of devotee, both briefly and extensively. How to give charity, how to receive charity, how to give gifts to your enemies to pacify them, what kind of gifts you should give. Sometimes they say you should give like first class, but other times you should give like not such good stuff. But he also said you should try to make as many friends as possible, which is good advice. Kings should make friends. Like governments do, they try to get allies. We often hear in many countries now that, where they have so many, I think that happened here, right? What do they call it? When they have so many political parties, so a bunch of them get together so they can be the majority. Alliances. Political alliances. And countries do that. In World War II, they had the Allies, so-called good guys, and then Russia was a big ally of America, and as soon as the war was over, they became the #1 enemy, and Germany became the best friends. Germany and Japan became the best friends, so you wonder, this is the inconceivable plan of the Lord or something. You don't know if those people really plan all that out, if they have that kind of strategy or not, but things change all the time. He described occupational duties, giving instances from history, a lot of historical, philosophical discussions, incidences about, all these different castes. It's very amazing, thing. So then while he was doing that, the sun got to the northern hemisphere. That's what he was waiting for. Like chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita gives him auspicious and inauspicious times for leaving the body. So the yogis take advantage of that, but the devotees, for Krishna told Arjuna, you don't have to worry. It doesn't matter. All you have to do is be thinking of Krishna. It's beyond any astrological influence. So the yogis who can leave, he had the blessing that he didn't have to leave his body until he wanted to. So he had spoken on many different subjects with thousands of meetings and fought on thousands of battlefields and protected thousands of men. Stopped speaking, being completely free from all bondage, withdrew his mind from everything, and fixed his wide open eyes upon the original personality of Godhead, who stood before him four-handed, dressed in yellow garments that glittered and shined. In the description in the Chaitanya Charitamrita of the Haridas Thakur's disappearance, it said everybody was remembering the Bhishma Day. Because Haridas was just absorbed in looking at the face of Lord Chaitanya and just chanting, Gaura, 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 Gauranga, Gauranga. And Lord Chaitanya was equally chanting the glories of Haridas. And he died, just completely absorbed in looking at the Lord. So the same thing, Bhishma, he was wide open eyes and completely absorbed in Krishna. He was freed from all material inauspiciousness and relieved of all bodily pains caused by the arrows. Thus all the external activities of the senses stopped, and he prayed transcendently to the controller of all living beings while he's leaving his material body. Nowadays you see devotees, we've heard quite a few stories of devotees who died from cancer and they have so much pain. But all of a sudden, towards the end, they don't have any pain anymore. They just remember some say Krishna's there, and they saw Prabhupada. I heard one in Russia, the devotees came and he said, everything's all right now. Radharani came and said, don't worry. And before that, he was crying out in pain. So it's not arrows, not these same kind of arrows, but some diseases come and there's so much pain. But if we can be fortunate, that's why devotees always come and chant when somebody is leaving their body. I was there last year when Manarupa, I think today's the anniversary of her leaving the body. Yeah, I just read that. And she was so peaceful. And she said, I realized how to no more pain now. I just make myself very small and I sit at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda or something. She just gave up any effort to maintain her life and medicine and everything. And she just was so peaceful and happy, and devotees would chant all the time and read to her, and she just was effulgent and left her body. After having done so much preaching. Huh? She was in Mayapur. It was a good time during the festival. Somehow they got there. Because she had sickness really hit in South America. So the girls all loved her so much. There was always a huge gang of them chanting all afternoon, evening, and the boys from the Gurukul would come and chant. So Bhishma said, "Let me now invest my thinking, feeling, and willing, which were so long engaged in different subjects and occupation and duty, in that all-powerful Lord Sri Krishna. He is always self-satisfied, but sometimes being the leader of the devotees, he enjoys transcendental pleasure by descending on the material world, although from him only the material world is created." Good prayers for thinking about that time which is we're all waiting for. Krishna is the intimate friend of Arjuna, and he appeared on earth in his transcendental body, which resembles the bluish color of a tamal tree. His body attracts everyone in the three planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower. May his glittering yellow dress and his lotus face, covered with paintings of sandalwood pulp, be the object of my attraction, and may I not desire fruitive results. And that's interesting. I remember somebody asked once about deity worship, where did this painting the face come from? But it's Krishna's face would be painted like that. Totally fine. May I not desire fruitive results. On the battlefield where Krishna attended Arjuna, the flowing hair of Krishna turned ashen due to the dust, and because of his labor, beads of sweat wetted his face. All these decorations, intensified by the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows, were enjoyed by him. Let my mind thus go on to Krishna. So actually, because Krishna was a chariot driver, they shot at him sometimes. Bhishma shot, but Krishna felt Bhishma's arrows to be just like flower garlands or something. He loved it. But he looked like he was bleeding. In obedience to the command of his friend, Krishna entered the battlefield between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana, and while there he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna. That's what he told Arjuna. They're already killed anyway by my arrangement. So don't worry. You're not responsible for killing them. You just get the credit. When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance, observing the soldiers and commanders, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. It's one of the greatest chapters in the Bhagavatam. Those two, Kunti and this one. You don't have to read the rest. If we just read these every day, everything is there. But more and more angles of vision, the Bhagavatam keeps giving us from all different people and all different sides, and then the same things just keep expanding. Fulfilling my vow and sacrificing his own promise, he got down, took up a wheel, and ran towards me hurriedly, like a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way, his chatter. May he, the personality of Godhead, be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me as if angry, because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was shattered and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds. The Prabhupada writes, the dealings of Lord Krishna and Bhishma Deva on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are interesting because the activities of Krishna appeared to be partial to Arjuna and at enmity with Bhishma Deva. But factually all this was especially meant to show special favor to Bhishma Deva. The astounding feature of such dealings is that a devotee can please the Lord by playing the part of an enemy. But we shouldn't try for that. Someone asking Prabhupada, Prabhupada gave an explanation. Why was Bhishma such a great devotee? Why was he fighting against Krishna? And Prabhupada said that's to show that no matter what your material qualifications are, because Bhishma was by far the greatest fighter. If you're against Krishna, you can't. You take the wrong side. Doesn't matter what kind of opulences you have, what kind of money, what kind of talent, nothing can help. The Lord was so angry that Arjuna checked him when he was moving towards Bhishma Deva. But in spite of towards Bhishma Deva, as a lover goes to a lover. Apparently it was to kill Bhishma Deva, but actually it was to please him. As the Lord is undoubtedly the deliverer of the conditioned soul. The impersonalist wants salvation, but he warns him according to Bhishma wants to see the Lord in a personal future. It's described that Arjuna grabbed Krishna from behind like American football or something. Krishna was dragging him along. He was telling him, no, you got to stop because you promised not to fight. I'll fight. But Bhishma wanted to see that. That's the reason Krishna was a favor to the devotee. It wasn't to kill him. Because Bhishma was sick and tired of all the politics and all the family things, and he was tired. He wanted to leave. He was of course special Leela, but the other Vasus, they were born and they just drowned right away and went back to their heavenly planet. But Bhishma, because he was a leader of whatever rascal thing they did, and he had to stay on earth and go through all this. He said, at the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Krishna. Just like Kunti prays, let my mind flow to the sea, just like the Ganga, or just like we were up on that mountain the other day. And the water flowing down, it's just, there's no stopping it. Even if they put a dam, after a while it just breaks the dam, or goes over the dam, or goes around the dam, because you can't stop it. The Ganga, every minute they say, I don't know how they can measure, but how many millions of gallons of water are dumping into the ocean, But it starts out very small. It's quite an amazing thing. I never went to see it. I lived in Minnesota, so the Mississippi River starts in the north. And it's just some little bubbling thing coming up. But by the time you get to Minneapolis, which is just a few hundred miles, it's a huge river, really wide and deep, and then it goes all the way to all the way to New Orleans, and it just, if it floods, it just wipes out everything. Every once in a while it floods. So we can't understand it. Things start small, but they grow. We start the movement. Prabhupada started nothing, very small. Now we have this huge Ganga river flowing. So he says, I want to my ultimate attraction to be Krishna. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with the whip and bridle rope, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield attained their original forms after death. So he knows everything. He just wants to remember Krishna. Let my mind be fixed upon Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Brajadam, the gopis. They imitated the characteristic movements of the Lord. And so after the rasa dance, he knows all this. But he wanted to see Krishna as a chariot driver. That was his rasa. The Prabhupada said it's not less, it's just, he describes the Rajasuya, everybody was there, and Krishna was worshipped by everyone. I remembered that incident in order to keep my mind fixed on the Lord. So we know about all these things also from Scripture. Hopefully if we keep hearing it, whatever we hear we remember eventually. Now I can meditate with full concentration, present before me, because I have given up the misconceptions of duality that He's in everyone's heart. The sun may be perceived differently, but it's one sun. Very amazing prayers. To be so lucid at the time of death. He merged himself in the Sutta Goswami speaks. He merged himself in the Super Soul Krishna with his mind, speech, sight, and actions, and became silent, and his breathing stopped. That place is known there. There's a lake there, I think, in Kurukshetra. If we go there, we go and see the place where Bhishma Dev left his body. Knowing that Bhishma had merged in the unlimited eternity of the Supreme Absolute, all present there became silent like birds at the end of the day. Both men and demigods played drums in honor, and the honest royal order commenced demonstrations of honor and respect, and the flowers fell from the sky. After performing funeral rituals for the dead body of Bhishma Dev, Yudhishthira was momentarily overtaken with grief. Everyone glorified Krishna, who was present by Vedic hymns. Then they all went to their respective hermitages, keeping Krishna in their heart. So Bhishma Dev made everybody, all the sages and everybody, understand Krishna. And then Yudhishthira went back and consoled Dhritarashtra and Kandari. And then Yudhishthira executed the royal power in the kingdom according to codes of royal principles approved by his uncle and confirmed by Lord Krishna. So it's a very auspicious day. It's really good. You can read all the purports later. Quite long ones. So I didn't read the Mahabharata, but it's a very long section. And the questions are wonderful. It's something that actually we should pull out, Everybody's trying to understand Varnashram, but everything is there. Speculating. But we want Daivi Varnashram. The conclusion is Krishna. Fix your mind on Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you all for a nice time here, nice place. Hope we can, of course, naturally we're going to tell people how nice it is. More devotees might start coming. The weather really changed exactly on the first day of spring. Right? Much different than the morning. In the daytime, today it's supposed to be 34. That's it. I don't know if it's exactly right here. Okay, so we're going to leave in 30 minutes, right?
Yeah. So we'd like to thank His Holiness Kavichandra Maharaj for staying with us such a long time, and hope that he'll come again for a visit in the future. Haribo!
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 Haribo!